Welcome back to Why Digitally channel with me, Shravani. Today, we're going to talk about self-introduction. This session is the answer for the threaded question, tell me about yourself in the interviews. Now, for some of you, this topic may seem very basic, but learning to introduce yourself properly is incredibly important. You might need to introduce yourself without any forewarning, so you need to be prepared. You may need to introduce yourself at a job interview or at your new job or among large group of people. You tend to feel very nervous and anxious when you have to introduce yourself to strangers or among large groups of people, especially when English is not your first language. So, for learners and beginners, this video is incredibly intimidating. In order to successfully introduce yourself, you must have your self-introduction pre-written and learned. You have to be prepared. In this video, I'm going to guide you through this process, and by the end, you'll have your self-introduction which is ready to use and learn. So, let us start with the basics of self-introduction. The very first thing you need to say when you are introducing yourself is a greeting. Now, you can have formal greetings and informal greetings. You need to pick up any one of these types depending upon where you are and the situation you are in. Let's see formal greetings. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. These are formal greetings. Make sure you pay particular attention to what time of the day it is before you pick up any of these formal greetings. Because you can't say good morning when it is afternoon. Also, if it is night where you have to introduce yourself, then never say good night as that is a send-off greeting. Use good evening instead. And hello is both formal and informal. You can use according to the situation you are in. Now let's talk about informal greetings. There are lots of informal greetings. Here are a few which you can say or use. Hey, what's up? Hiya, what's good? So these are a few informal greetings you can use before starting any conversation or if you are introducing yourself to the others. Make sure you pick one that you feel very comfortable to use and shouldn't be forced. Next, we have, of course, your name. There are many ways of introducing your name. The very basic one we use is I'm, I'm Shravani, or I am Shravani, or when majority of the people don't know you or when they can't see you, for example, over the telephone, you may use my name is Shravani or my name's is Shravani. So these are few basic ways to introduce your name. Or if you are in a very large auditorium or among large groups of people, then you might use this is. This is Shravani. So you can use any of these according to you, according to the situation you are in or the way you're comfortable with. So next let's talk about location. Where are you from and where you are living are very important to say or to mention. Now, there are lots of variations to this. Now let's see basic ways to more polished ways. First way is saying I'm. I'm from so and so place. I'm from India. Or I'm Indian or I come from England. Also, we mention our nationality if we are from a different country or from a far place. You can say I'm Indian or I come from England. If you're born and raised in one place, you can say, I was born in India, raised in England. If you're born in one place and raised in one place, you may say, I was born in France, raised in Sweden. Or another way is, I grew up in France and now live in New York. And if you have to say about time spent in one place, then you might use, I've been living in London for few years, or I've spent the past few years in Paris. So these are the few ways you can mention your location when it is necessary. This all depends on the way you are comfortable in expressing. Now let's see position and company. When you have to say about your previous work experience, then you might have to use I work at company name in the department name. So example is I work at Google in the HR department, or I work for Google as a HR manager. Or you can also say I'm a HR manager at Google. But you should never say I'm working in. You should never use in when you're mentioning about position and your company, especially your work experience. You should never say I'm working in Google. You should always say I'm working for Google. It's always important to keep this, and it's very important to not say in. You should always say only for. Next, let's see qualification. You might have to introduce your qualification, especially at job interviews. If you're close to your graduation or post graduation, you could say, I'm about to graduate, or I am a HR graduate, or I have a bachelor's of business administration in marketing, or I have a master's of business administration in HR. Or the other way is, if you're a graduate or postgraduate, then you can always say, I'm a business graduate or I'm a business postgraduate. And you should always mention the course. If it is a theoretical subject, it is course in. I have done course in maths, etc. If you have done something on practical subjects like jewelry making, fashion designing, etc., you can use course on. So you have to make sure that you're using the correct words in or on depending on the subject you have learned. It's always important, guys. Please remember this. Now let's see experience. Now, if you want to talk about your work experience, you should always be careful in the sentences you use or the sentence structure you form. You should always say, I have number, you have to mention the number, years of experience in the occupation, you have to mention the occupation. For example, I have 3 years of experience in the HR field. Or the other way is, I have worked in the occupation for unit of time. Like, I have worked in the accounting field for 5 years. So you can use any of these sentences or you can use any of these structures while actually talking about your experience. So the next important thing you have to mention while introducing yourself, especially at interviews, is hobbies. There are few general phrases to use while talking about hobbies. Like, I really like tennis. I'm a big fan of cricket. I am a keen tennis player. You can use any of these phrases to mention about your hobbies. And also, you have to mention about your fun facts. You know, In the interviews, they may ask you to talk about for a minute, tell me about yourself. You can't talk about your family, you can't talk about anything, any other things which are not necessary. You always have to talk about yourself. So you always have to pick up some topics and be prepared. Any interesting activity you like, or a weird like or dislike you have, or a strange achievement or extraordinary experience you had recently. You can talk about any of this. So far I have given you loads of options. Now I will give you a sample of self-introduction. If I have to introduce myself, how would that be? Good morning, everyone. My name is Shravani. I'm from Bangalore. I work as a Chief Training Officer. I'm a human resource postgraduate. I'm a big fan of running and fitness classes. So here in this sample of introduction, I have given sentence wise, I have given almost 6 sentences to introduce myself. So it can also be in one sentence, you can also form smoothly one sentence and introduce yourself. It also can be, good morning everyone, my name is Shravani. I'm working as a Chief Training Officer from Bangalore and I'm a big fan of running in fitness classes. It can be like this also. It is always better if you can condense your self introduction into two flowing sentences. Alright? So here now I'll give you few tips to enhance your effective introduction. Like, when you go for interviews, you always have to introduce yourself, or you're going to present or your business ideas. How should you behave physically when you're meeting someone for the first time? I'll give you a few tips. All right, let's see. So, when you meet a person for the first time, you always have to maintain a straight and relaxed posture, and then shake hands with the other person, and then share your business card. It's always important for you to share your business card if you have one. And then you have to always project warmth and confidence. You should never lose your confidence when you're meeting a person for the first time. That gives the first impression. You always have to state your full name, and then if you have any work experience, you always have to mention the position you have worked for and the company you worked for. And then hold your head high and steady. Don't look down or don't look side, right or left or anywhere when you're talking to a person. Always try to maintain your posture straight and relaxed. Your head should be always high and steady. Don't slouch or slump. Move in a natural, unaffected manner. You shouldn't show that you're feeling nervous, or you shouldn't make them understand that you are actually tensed. You should not give that feel to them. Move in a natural and unaffected manner. That helps you a lot. You always have to maintain eye contact with the person you're talking to. That is very, very important. That also improves your confidence. That shows your confidence. And then repeat the name of the other person when greeting. If you know the person's name while greeting, you could always have to use or repeat the name of the other person. Like, if you're meeting me, like, you always have to say, good morning, Shravani, or hi, Shravani, what are you doing? How are you doing? So it can be anything. You always have to repeat the name of the other person when greeting that person. Alright guys, that brings us to the end of this session, and I really look forward to read your introductions and fun facts if you would like to choose to write in our comment box, and feel free to correct yourself. Thank you for watching us, and keep watching us for more interesting videos. Hey, do not forget to subscribe our channel.